recently gone to vacation for 6 days and couldn't work on videos for a while, so I'm sorry if the video took long to make. Also procrastination. Hello everyone, I'm Mako and welcome back to another rant. Today I will be ranting on 𝐶𝐬𝐞 about their enemies to lovers and I hate you but I love you Gacha Club movies. Movies because they're both equally long as fuck. Well then, apart from the fact that enemies to lovers tropes are not very well liked since the execution of those tropes are mostly done horribly in the gacha community anyways, these movies' problems are mostly about the concepts of the story and overall how irrelevant many things are in it. By the way, there were a lot of similarities between the two movies that I don't really understand the reason for, but whatever. Also that if all the characters' development and overall development in general were done right, these movies would have been way longer. That could be excused though the fact that the writer said the ending was rushed. Sure, okay, I understand, but that doesn't mean I have to go along with it. For a quick sum up of haters to lovers and an emphasis on quick because this movie was literally an hour and a half long, we have our main character Rosa Smith eating bread. She meets up with her friend Jessie, and we are told they both are vampires and that they go to an only vampire school, which brings up lots of plot holes in the world building that are either not explained or just blatantly don't make sense, but I'll talk about that later. Rosa actually has a boyfriend named Ajax, and in the story everyone's apparently 25. A bit later on, Rosa and our male lead Haruto Hiroshi both have a dream where they kiss. That was never explained why. I'm guessing it's just God telling them both to just raise each other up subconsciously. And a bit before, Rosa spoke with Jessie and someone else we do not know anything of, not the name, no nothing. I firstly thought it was Ajax, but it wasn't. Well, he's just irrelevant I guess. They all talked about Haruto's families, Rosa not knowing Haruto apparently knows his parents and family name. Couldn't she have just connected the dots? Why is she dumb? Haruto is by the way called Young Master as prefix. I still don't know why. There was no explanation, no reason to actually do that. I don't get it. I think I'll stop being pedantic for a little bit because we'll never get to the end of it at that point, even though it's kinda valid. We later on meet Rosa's family composed of her mother, stepfather, and her stepbrother being a bitch. We then meet Rosa's biological father, Felix Smith, who invites her to live with him and change town, leaving all her friends and boyfriend behind. But they anyways come back just as irrelevant as they were before anyways. Ajax and Rosa have a moment where they say their goodbyes to each other. I'm just guessing long distance relationships are just a fucking pain in the ass, huh? After all, we've only been together for 8 years. How much could that be? Later on in school, we meet Haruto, his girlfriend Stella, and his best friend Kenji, talking about Rosa and how charming she is, or whatever. Then, Rosa and Haruto meet, and Haruto does the bitch, confirmed by Rosa herself, and they officially become enemies, I guess. Oh, this part was pretty long as a lot of characters were introduced and important encounters were established, and also me just needing to be pedantic for fun. Now I'll go a bit more faster. By the way, the writer is just straight up lying, or was just not paying attention to their own story. They don't hate each other for no reason. Haruto was firstly a bitch, and that's why their hatred grew. But anyways, time skip, new character introduced named Leah gets bullied by Stella. Rosa saves her. They were friends to begin with, but we didn't get to see it because of time skip, obviously. Stella is apparently a bitch. Okay. Stella lies to the principal and she believes her with no real evidence nor talk and explanation from the opposite side, which is just dumb. She gets suspended for a week, forced unnecessary attraction. Haruto takes her and tells her she'll regret coming to the school and other unintimidating shit like that. Rosa is scared, but that's anyways inconsistent since she seems to be kicking life and think the same about him. Time skip a week later, forced unnecessary attraction, talk, Stella bullies Leah again, then Rosa and Haru have a deal. Leah comes in dramatically and just starts more drama between them. Rosa and Haru have a friendly talk. Inconsistency I was talking about before gets brought up as Rosa seems to not give a fuck about Haru's intimidations. We're told Jessie and Ajax are coming back. Next day, principal demands Haruto and Rosa to pair up to be Romeo and Juliet in a school's competition for no real logic reason apart from the "you have no choice." Haruto gets jealous because Rosa mentions her boyfriend, cheater. They had a whole talk yesterday about how Rosa shouldn't touch his girlfriend and how he was so overprotective over her, but next day, he just starts to like her randomly. Whatever then. Time skip plus writer lies again, trying to make us think they're just two assholes hitting each other randomly, but the real problem was Haruto's arrogance and bitchiness. Jessie and Ajax come back with Ajax being just a completely different person and the explanation is just vampire logic. I don't like that. They kiss, but Rosa feels nothing. Then some other things happen. Fast forward to Rosa getting kidnapped, which is BS to be honest, but I'll explain that later. Haru saves her, then some other things happen. Super later on, Rosa can get back to her house and is forced to go sleep in Haru's house. And then Rosa apparently drinks a love potion made from Jessie. Actual first time I watched this, I did not remember these little texts that appear for like 2 seconds. I won't explain how that's BS as well for the moment. And then things second another and they do it, apparently. Some other little things happen, and then Vincent comes back and is sad because his parents abandoned him, I guess. He becomes kind again and lives with Rosa. Other weird things happen. Haru gets overprotective and is a bitch, then is weird, then almost gets bitchy towards Vincent, then demands random explanations for plot. We get Rosa backstory that isn't relevant anyways to the overall story nor to her character at any point but this one. Then other things happen. Weird ones and whatever ones. Ending and finally random matchups. That was so long. I'm sorry, I just had to strip out some things because I wouldn't have storytely handled it. But anyways, let's start the rant. First of all, the vampire concept. You're telling me that apparently vampires and humans or wolves or whatever coexist, even though vampires kill and suck blood from them? Or I might be misunderstanding it, but the concept hasn't been explained nor expanded at all. In fact, it's just not relevant as this is a love story. Why do we need to have this? Its only purpose is to have kinky scenes, I believe. There are also so many inconsistent things that go with all of that. For example, how Rosa can randomly teleport around. You're telling me that if she's able to just teleport to a room to the other, she can't teleport to escape these assassins. These vampires can also apparently smell blood aromas and stuff. How did she not smell them? And why did she simply not teleport to get out of the way? Even if those were trained assassins, literally anyone would have a hard time against a vampire of all things. The story just had to forget she could do that just to have a plot going on. Then Haru just beats them easily. I'm guessing these two are just deaf, by the way? Like, so many inconsistencies in one scene is crazy. This was done on purpose, I know it. The power concept was just not explained at all in this story. Rosa should be a strong person, but isn't, because the plot wants her to be defenseless so Haru could save the day and give her more reason to love him. This could have been handled differently and normally if the power concept was just done right. But we got this. Now, getting into Rosa's and Vincent's relationship. First of all, Vincent is a bitch, then becomes kind because he has no other choice or he's homeless. Let's not forget Vincent was an asshole for no reason. His stepmother didn't change him. He could have just entered the house being a simple good human being without being a bitch. He just chose to be like that. There were no sayings he had a bad childhood or so. Since his parents abandoned him for whatever reason, he has no choice but act like he's changed. Sure, it's sad he got dumped by his parents, but that doesn't change the fact that he was a bitch. To be honest, you could have a radical change of mind, because after all, he did get dumped. He practically lost everything he had, but for it to be impactful for us in his character in general, it needs to be seen, not just made up off screen. That kinda invalidates how much he suffered from a writing point of view. Or damn, make it look like he got dumped and lost everything. Make him cry or something. He looks way too happy, bruh. In all, the relationship was just rushed, and I know the writers said they rushed the ending, and that's why I tell them to, please don't. Now, what's the whole young master thing? Why are people calling him that? Just because his family is famous or something? I still don't know why. Now then, let's move on to Rosa's and Ajax's relationship. Well, first of all, Ajax was the red-haired dude we saw at the beginning, and now he's just got blue hair because literally, why not? The vampire logic explanation was not an explanation, so he would just change hair randomly? How does it work? Overall, Ajax was a pretty compelling character, to be honest. I thought he was gonna play a very big role as an antagonist or rival to Haruto, but at the end he was just sidelined to let the main relationship bloom. He was not a very bad character on his own. I in fact think he's the best in this movie, but he just had no time to shine at all. It's like at the end he forgets he broke up with Rosa while talking to Stella and then just remembers, you can't make this up. What else do you want to tell her? It's like the plot forced an encounter to happen between him and Haruto so that he could tell him off, but the encounter doesn't even make sense. He just pushed him and threatened him because Rosa looked upset and ran away. Why would you overreact so badly like that? You have no idea what's happening. I'm guessing he just likes being an asshole and overprotective. He almost did it with Vincent too. Look at his eyes! If Vincent didn't right away tell him he was just her stepbrother, he would have been ballistic for real. Ajax is a good character because he overall is smart, and you can see he can see through Rosa's hypocritical lies, which could also define what his relationship with her was. He knows her very well. They've been together for 8 years. Of course he knows her well and is very affectionate, but I guess it wasn't the same for Rosa as she just forgot all those years in 3 months. Overall, 𝐻𝐸𝐸𝐴𝑗𝑥 is pretty much the best character in here. As for Haruto, well, you could say he's complex, but he's not. He's like one of those multiple bad boys in Gacha Life mini movies who, when they meet their soulmate, they just become puppies. He has no character if Rosa isn't there. He's not interesting at all. He's just a bad boy who thinks he can do whatever he wants. If Rosa isn't there to give him a character, he's just nothing but a gloomy, always Rosa thinker. He is not given that much else depth. Kenji is his best friend and Stella was his girlfriend. We don't even know the length of their love, as soon as Rosa appeared in the window, he had eyes only for her. Stella wasn't even bothered at all. She was just sidelined. Apparently she was a bitch, and apart from that first encounter they had, nothing else was shown from her. She just became dust until the vacuumer took her back to randomly get her with one of the boys that were left without a damn soul. Exactly like Leah. Like the fuck? Where did that even come from? I can't even talk about Leah or Jessie because they perpetually did nothing at all apart from being there with Rosa and give advices or talk sometimes. Oh wait, I can talk about Jessie. She made that love potion that made Rosa and Haru have, well, it. What the fuck? A potion? That whole matter made the scene ridiculous. That could have been handled in a more natural way than just randomly implementing the fact Jessie made a potion out of nowhere. Also, where do potions come from? Are we in Harry Potter? That plot point could have actually made sense if there were explanations prior to it, but that wasn't the case. Then we just have Kenji contradicting himself. He firstly admits he had no one and that he loved being single. It was a great premise to tell us that here, he has his principles and is still growing, so he's pretty much likely not to get with someone out of nowhere. Except that's what they did. Where did Jessie come from? Yet again, I understand the writers said they rushed the ending. And to that I suggest, please don't. Random matchups being made, characters contradicting themselves, unnecessary concepts, unnecessary plot points, all these things were not needed to make this story great. Not every character in this needed to get a partner. And then comes Rosa. Rosa is... She contradicts herself. Her backstory and path have no relevance with the story nor her character, but I guess she likes boba. The backstory the writer implemented right at the very end was useless. It didn't affect her at all through the story apart from the times Vincent was there, which were just twice. She constantly seems okay and doesn't look like she's bottling up emotions or anything of the sort. It is just irrelevant, since she anyways isn't affected by it until the very point it is talked about and at the beginning. Its relevance is equal to negative. It's just another tool to make her fall in love with Haruto. Apart from that matter, it's useless, since she just doesn't care. A lot of her character is quite centered about him, but she's not quite like him. We see her have some more happy, sad moments with her friend, sad ex-boyfriend. She's decent, but still not above 𝐻𝐸𝐸𝐴𝑗𝑥. And now then, finishing with the best, Rosa's and Haru's relationship. It firstly grew out of hatred for each other after Haru did the asshole, and from then moments occurred, some were forced, others were unnecessary, some good. But yeah, apart from all the inconsistencies it had, I think their relationship is pretty solid. I like the way 𝐻𝐸𝐸𝐴𝑗𝑥 told the truth to Rosa. Hearing it from her own boyfriend I think was very great and had some damn impact. Their moments were okay. Nope, I hit the love potion one, it was just way too forced and unnecessary. But apart from that, I like it. The ship kinda just becomes bad since Haruto is bad, but at the very least Rosa saves them both. Now then, for the suggestions. First of all, please give characters depth. Give them more than comes to the eye. I did trash talk Leah and Jessie quite a bit, but the fact we happen to know a little bit about their life, like Jessie soon having a cousin and Leah being weak and wanting to not be anymore, are good touches that make them a bit more realistic. Also, if concepts are just not explored or explained at all, then no point in having them in the story. It only adds confusion and problems to the overall plot. Things need to be explained before they happen or after they happen. Plot points are important since they point out where the plot is going. You cannot have something pop out of nowhere and dictate where the plot is going without any explanation. That is simply lazy writing. And yeah, I said I was gonna analyze I Hate You But I Love You, but the video is already as long as it is, and to be honest, the two stories are actually quite similar. As I said in the beginning, they both have similar problems in the writing, world building, and concepts, and I chose to analyze this one because the other one is just, well, worse. And with that, I am pretty much done. I had a cool idea while making this. Since I'm analyzing all of this, figured I'd give an overall rating from 1 to 10 of the movie. I think I'll do it at all the endings of my rants, and this movie takes a 5 out of 10. Some characters were wasted and concepts just didn't make sense, but some characters were alright, and the main relationship was solid, plus the explanations I gave throughout the video. Well then, that is all for me. I hope you enjoyed this very long rant. Have a good day, night, stay safe. Ciao!